Hey guys, welcome to another weekly tutorial here. We're going to go over another tips and tricks with 3ds. You can create some pretty cool dynamic animations, pretty quick and easy. So, did I say quick and easy? Yes, quick and easy. So here's kind of what we're going to start with, or what we're going to end with, something like this, anyways. So we're going to start with basically a blank canvas. Actually, here's what I got. We'll get here eventually. But I'm going to start this over. I'm going to reset everything. I'm going to want all new stuff. I don't want to save that. Let's go ahead and create a plane for our animation. So just something quick and easy, give us a ground line to work with. On that plane, I want us to place a geosphere. I like to keep it base to pivot, which means when I create it, pops up something like that. My radius, just know that the larger you get with animations like this, the more time it's going to take to actually animate it, because 3ds is going to slow down because our computers are old and ancient. My segments I keep to 5 because I'm familiar with the vertices and how many vertices there are on this particular geosphere based on that. So you can change yours. That's what I'm going to be using. Now what I want to do is create for this a particle system. I want to go to particle flow source, and I'm going to go straight to my particle view. This little window pops up again. Remember this from last time, but there's nothing there. We're kind of working with the blank canvas here. So what we have to do is create our own particles flow. Here it is. Drop it out there. You can see I have rendering. I have a birth grid. Oh my gosh. So rewind that. This is what 3ds thinks of as particles. Takes basically a whole object and makes them into a bunch of smaller pieces. So think about particles, just little fragments of larger bits of things. I don't necessarily want a block dropping on my object here. Instead, I want to get rid of this birth grid. I'm going to drag this birth emitter up to the birth grid and drop it there. I want it to start at 0. I want it to stop never. So I'm going to have it stop there, 0. I never want it to stop. And then what I'm going to go to is shape here. Actually, I have to tell these particles someplace. I have to give them some place to go. So, oh, excuse me. I'm going to go to position object, and I'm going to drop this underneath the birth. And here I have position object. Okay, this is where I'm going to tell those particles where to go. So I want to assign it to something. I'm going to go to by list, click on that. This pops up. I want it to tell it to go to my geosphere. So I'm going to select. Boom. All my particles now are crammed into this sphere. All right. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. It looks kind of weird because I just cubified or whatever. Is that a word? I think I just made it a word. My sphere. So the shape, I'm going to change the shape of those particles. So I clicked on this little emitter here, went to this, open up sphere, 80 sides. There we go. They're all still kind of cluttered and clustered there. I'm going to see what's happening. I'm going to shrink them down to size a little bit. Somewhere around here, I can see them a little bit better. They're just randomly placed there. I need to place them onto my vertices. So I'm going to go back to position, location for those particles. I want them to go to all vertices. Now, I don't have enough. I have more vertices than I have particles. So I can change that by upping this number. I can guess, which is weird. I don't know why you would want to guess, but you can right click on your geosphere, go to object properties, and here it gives you coordinates, dimensions, and tells you how many vertices, how many faces you have on your object. So 252 is how many vertices I have. So I'm going to change this number to 252, and voila. Every vertices is now accounted for as far as having a particle applied to it. Now when I play this, they just fall off. They're just basically listening to the rules of nature and gravity and falling off my cube. They still want to be animated. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that geosphere. I'm going to open up my Scene Explorer. I'm going to clone that geosphere, copy it. Okay. Geosphere 2 now pops up. Big whoop. So what I want to do is modify Geosphere 2, and I want to make this what's called a skinner, a particle skinner. It's going to assign those particles to the skin of this geosphere. I want it to abide by this system, by particle flow system. I want it to abide by the rules of my particle flow source. This is important if you have multiple particle flows happening in one scene. So I'm going to make sure it's attached to the correct one. Select it. I'm going to activate the skinning. When I play it now the skin falls off. All right, so it's attached to something. It has rules now. I don't need to see Geosphere 1, so I'm going to hide that. So now when I play it, it shows up just the skin. Okay, play, it flattens out. There's nothing holding it together. I keep Geosphere 1 there because it's good for positioning. I want to position it using Geosphere 1. I don't want to see it. I want to position it. And so when I play it now, it splats, right? So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to go back to my particle view. I need those particles to work together and stay together. So I want to apply what's called a glue. Take this glue, drop it here. We'll play around with, it already has some set bindings. So when I play it now, kind of holds together a little bit better. You can play around with that, how well it holds together, by adjusting the bind distance and as well the max binds per particle. So if I crank this up and I make the bind distance maybe a little bit bigger, and maybe I change the size of my particles, I can give it some physics that will react differently now. So most of it's done here using the particle glue bindings. So when I play it now, it holds up, gives it a little bit different physical property. So that you can kind of play around with it. You can make it really wobbly. You can make it really rigid. It's always going to remain kind of a ball. So here I'm going to, oops, sorry, I'm making 3ds think too much right now. So here's what I want to do. Let's say I want to apply something here. I want to choose this, and I actually I'm going to hide that selection. I want it to react to something. So let's say I take a box, just a standard box, drag something out. And I want it to react with that. So if I play it now, it just goes right through it. There's nothing exciting about that. So it's the reason because you have to give that box some properties. You have to modify that box. I'm going to give it what's called a particle flow collision shape. I'm going to activate it here, but I also have to tell my particles to react to a collision. So I'm going to go to particle collision, drop it here, and I want to tell it what to react to. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to open this up. I want it to react to my box because it's the only one that's assigned a particle collision shape. And so now, as I play it through, kind of see how it reacts. Okay, so you can animate different things, for this. You can tell it to work like a paddle and like swat the. I'm going to center this to the object, and you can keyframe some things. You can auto key. So when I play this through, let's say I want this to turn that way, turn that off, change the shape, time it right, you can make it swat that ball, across your screen. So that's pretty much it for